one at the end of every aisle or something like that had a zip drive or something in it, and I ended up buying a SCSI zip drive and put it in with my computer that had a
Okay.
SCSI card,
That is not
sound card
the
with a
video.
SCSI bus.
That's the video.
But the video in your computer is working.
For some reason,
Some days,
it doesn't, OBS doesn't like it.
oh, really?
Yeah. I could switch back and forth in Zoom, no problem, I think.
OBS doesn't.
But
see it.
OBS,
I wonder if it only has the version 1 video drivers.
Somebody left the bomb.
It's not me.
is that you, Art? Did you make all that noise?
You're muted.
Yes, just a moment.
Oh. It's Art. Art's making all that noise.
So I just left the bomb.
Ah,
I figured it was the guy who was in here earlier. Like something under the table.
there. This is a heck of a little camera though. Let's see if it with this cable, let's see if it connect your camera. No, it still doesn't know. Connect your camera. Let's see something here. Let's play with it. Let's go here first. No, still doesn't see it. That's the thing. The one thing I've really found about this particular camera, it works really, really well, but the software is buggy as it. When it actually did work, it was running old firmware, and that was the first thing it did was, I've got to update the firmware. I'm like, okay, do it. And then after I did that, it seemed like stuff was working, and then I rebooted the computer, and the software doesn't see it now. So I don't know what its deal is. But a version 1 camera from Hudley that they don't support any longer, and you can find on eBay for under $20, and it's a heck of a camera.
What is it?
It's called a Hudley. This is a Hudley Go, the original Hudley Go.
Been looking at something that's closer to $100, but it's got a 10 power optical zoom and focuses down to like 2 inches, and it's a manual focus, which I'm kind of annoyed with automatic focus. It's never focused where I want.
This one is interesting. Like, I turn it upside down,
Oh, cool.
so it's got a gyroscope or something in it.
Well, if you want to be upside
Or
down.
the sensor's just not glued in real well.
Or the sensor's just not included. No, apparently that's a feature.
Yeah.
It's like a Microsoft feature.
Do what, Art?
It's like a Microsoft feature.
It's a feature that might actually work though. So
Oh, then it's not Microsoft.
it's not Microsoft.
If it's in your RC plane and you which way's up?
It when when I first got the camera, and I had it actually sitting on my desk upside down. I was expecting the picture to be upside down. What the? So I flipped it over, thinking, okay, it should be upside down, right? I mean, it's a webcam. It should be up. And it did exactly what it did. It flipped. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I wonder if you can turn that off.
I didn't see it in the software to turn that off. But I'm thinking because this was supposed to be for video conferencing and meetings and stuff, that maybe, and it's got a standard camera mount
Mhm.
on it. Maybe they could hang it from the ceiling,
Yeah,
in which case you would want it to be flipped. Um, I found one on eBay that has the cable and the actual tripod that it came with. The original tripod that it came with. Oh, I think it was $19.
damn.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it's a 720p camera, but it's a wide angle and who cares? I mean, you're recording stuff on Zoom anyway. It's not like it's going to, and not that I have ever actually seen it, because it averages out at about 30 frames of, yeah, 30 frames a second.
Mhm.
But according to the website, it's capable of doing 60 frames a second. So I don't know if okay.
The ghost is throwing things at us.
I don't know if it's the Linux drivers that are causing it to average out at 30, or if it's something else, but it doesn't matter. That other camera that I was using, it averaged out at 5 frames a second.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wait, the little ball Logitech?
No, the one that I brought in, the Logitech that I was using at the last meeting.
I don't think I was there.
No, maybe it was the ball one. I plugged in both of them and I did a frame test, and it was averaged out at like 5 frames. And I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
pretty bad.
crap. It also that one was only VGA. It was only 640 by 480 or whatever. It was bad.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was bad. This is a huge improvement for a little bit of nothing.
I've got a pile of 640 by 480 cameras, just bare boards with a USB cable. I think they were like $3 a piece. They're okay.
I've had that ball camera for a couple of years now. I think I paid $10 for it, and it's a neat camera. It's served its purpose. But when you can get something like that for $10, because I paid $10 for that. I should have spent the extra money and got the cable. 3-foot cable. And the tripod, and tripod's probably not a big deal. It's probably just a generic tripod.
I've got a tripod on mine that's heavy, which is handy.
Yeah.
It's like the sheathing they used to have on payphone handsets with piece of copper wire in it or something. I don't know, but they're pretty heavy, and they stay where you put them, and it works nicely.
Yeah. This one kind of moves around in the case, but yeah, it'll work. It'll work for our purpose, I think. Our purpose.
So I did a keyboard count at home. I have 5 keycons,
Okay,
2 C3s. This is a C3.
yeah,
I just sent you a link to the Q3 about 2 weeks ago.
oh, yeah, you probably did.
I bought one of those.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I've got,
You were going to try to convince me to buy that one.
so this one, somebody gave me a box of switches and I figured I'll give them a try. These sound just like the switches that broke up my first marriage.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh. I don't even remember what they are at this point. But the reason I have 2 of those is because this is what I've got at work. It's if somebody steals it, whatever, I'm not a keyboard, but that was $35
Yeah.
or something. This one is the Q3. And I have this. You like clicky?
Yeah.
Really set of those switches. Because I don't. This one.
Oh my. Holy,
Trying to break your wrist, Annie.
it is. There's a significant weight difference.
Well, that one's all aluminum. To me, it feels better. It is a little quieter.
I like the keycaps.
So the story behind that keyboard is I bought those keycaps. I'd been wanting them for a while. I found a sale on them. And normally they're $140 for just the keycaps.
Yeah.
And I got them for $60. And then I saw a sale on the keyboard for $78. So I bought it. And I already had a set of switches for it, so I switched them out. The browns that came in it were very similar, but a little different. But yeah, that was $78, and it comes with spare parts, including rubber feet, which kind of surprised me.
This thing must weigh 15 pounds.
It's 4.5.
5 pounds, yeah.
You can
It's,
tell somebody-
it's significant. It's a significant weight.
I
Is
think
it
You could take somebody out of this world with that keyboard.
is it wireless?
No, it is
No.
not. That is strictly wired.
Okay.
Which honestly I prefer.
Yeah.
The more I play with wireless stuff, then
There's a little bit of a latency and whatever.
Oh, yeah, it's working too.
the latency is pretty good on that.
Not on this, on the wireless.
I know
Yeah.
the latency is pretty good on the wireless keyboards too. They claim that the 2.4 gig wireless dongle is faster than wired, and I don't see how that can possibly be, but okay.
They claim whatever they want.
Well, I mean, that's backed up by
Yeah.
people. And so those keycaps on there, the 2 purple ones are,
I like I like how these keys feel.
this is the difference in the escape keys height.
Oh, okay.
And that's the difference in the win key or whatever you want to call it height.
That you changed to say command.
Yes,
Yes.
I considered putting those dots on there, but no, I like CMD better.
I really do like this key. I'm not buying it.
And then shortly after I told my wife I stopped buying keyboards, bought another set of those keycaps, but not two-tone. They're a little bluer and the legends are brighter blue.
See
But
these
they're the exact same. That's a MT3 profile.
with the especially the J and the F.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I like about them too.
Yeah.
Let's say that, is that an attempt to mask the purchasing of more computer parts by matching the colors?
No, as long as the bills get paid, she doesn't care what toys I buy.
Well, I figured
That's
that.
pretty much what-
You told her you were gonna stop, but then I figured if you're buying the same colors, it's hard to track if she's not counting.
That's pretty much what Patty's, as long as the bills get paid, it doesn't really matter what toys we buy. But
So the switches in there are, after trying probably 40 different switches, those are mechanical keyboard holy llamas. They are just sweet. And the next closest thing I found to it are these. That's a Cherry MX Clear. It's a heavier switch. The llamas are 55 grams and those are 65. But the bump is pretty close. I like the llamas because the bump is up higher.
yeah,
And they're quietish.
this one here with the clickies, this feels like something I can really plug in and get typing
Mhm.
really good on.
I will give you this. It reverberates in microphones. Does not work well with Zoom.
Sorry, Art. Sorry. Click, 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 click. Yeah, I mean, the reds that were in it, I am really starting to, I haven't changed them yet, and I'm really starting to dislike them. The more I want to program,
Mhm.
those things just, I feel like they're not great for just typing.
Yeah.
They're good for like general purpose, but they're not great for just sitting there and banging out
Mhm.
typing.
Yeah, I want the physical bump. So I know when I push the button, because I have to look at the keyboard and I have to feel it.
Yeah.
Um, those blues, I don't even remember what those are. I forgot. Whatever those are, they're not bad and they're quieter than some things.
Yeah. I could get used to this one probably. I like that one better.
The clicky, really?
Yeah, I've always liked clicky keyboards.
Can you borrow it? Give it a try. You've got one just like it. It's the same thing as what you've got.
Well, except that it's got different keycaps and different keys and different. I've always been a fan of the clicky keyboards. But see, I like the divots on those. Like that reminds me of like the Commodore 64.
Mhm.
The little,
There are some, I think they're called marshmallows, that look very much like the Commodore 64.
okay,
Mm,
that that's what I've always wanted to replace mine with. Hey, our order has arrived. Great.
What did we order?
Junk I don't need.
Weird, you have the same order.
It's to fulfill my microcontroller fix, so I find stuff on eBay for cheap. A lot cheaper than paying the tariff. Yeah, I probably could get used to this. There's just enough. There's just enough click. It's not really a click. There's just enough of a noise to make me know that I actually am doing something.
Yeah, there was a picture the other day of a person that built their own computer case and put a modern computer in it with like a, you know, 5080 or 5090 video card in it, which is, I don't know if you've seen them, they're huge, but it looks like an old, like, Deck Alpha or something case. It was one of the Spark
Nice.
pizza boxes. And they even put the floppy disk cover panel on. The like blank insert for where you put the floppy disk.
There's this thing, the Callisto 2 Plus. I want to build that.
Yeah.
Just, I really, really like that.
Did you say they were called mushroom?
Marshmallow,
Oh,
I think.
neat.
And that prints on a pretty small printer. It breaks down into 8 pieces, 9 pieces, I guess.
They got those ELOs at Micro Center now. 329.
Okay.
Yeah, the 3D printer that's on par with like an X1 Carbon. I started to ask the guys how they liked it so far. I had it running up there. Been printing off like D&D figures or something on it. But I figured if they said it was pretty nice, I might end up with one in the back of the car.
They had for probably a month and a half, they had one of the any cubic Cobra 3s that I had, open box, and it was a decent enough price. One day I went and looked and they had dropped the price to like $199. I said, I looked at Patty, I said, I'm going to Micro Center, I'm going to go get me another 3D printer. Not that I needed it, but at $199, I went to click on buy it. I'm like, sit there forever. At a halfway decent price, nobody wanted it. They lowered the price to half. I mean, it was.
Yeah, but that's the same. If you're looking to spend that kind of money, go get one of those ELOs.
Well,
Got
I really,
and all the features of a Carbon.
I really wasn't looking to do that. But I really like that Cobra. That Cobra is a really nice printer. And it's fairly inexpensive. But Corelity is making a multi-filament one now, and it's a reasonably priced. I don't know what model that is. Well, it was a reasonably priced, and the Bamboo A1 has come down in price.
If you order it on their site at $299.
I've been kind of eyeballing that one just because it is an enclosed printer.
Well, they'll do ASA and ABS and
Yeah,
carbon fibers and
The
It's got an auto leveler and stops and comes with the toolkit and everything.
my printer, the Cobra, even though it says it won't do it, it will do ABS. But you've got to bump the temperature way up to do it.
And so will the heater do it?
You do what?
I said, will the heater on yours do it?
Yeah, it'll get there. If it was enclosed, it would be better, but it's an open frame. So really the only one,
So you can't really do them without them,
yeah, well,
because they need the
it,
ambient temperature to
it
stay in the 90s or 100s or something.
it doesn't. It's just, you've got to do two things. You got to bump the temperature way up, and you got to slow it way down. So, my 45-minute benchy turned into a 3-hour benchy because it was, but it did it. And it only complained about it a little.
These are tail speed gold.
Kale speed. Okay. So, I spelled kale wrong.
Yeah, sorry, KAILH.
It corrected it. That's not bad.
Yeah, they're 30 cents each.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can feel that they would be a speed, when I was clacking. It definitely felt like I could type faster with those than the reds. See, I don't, the reds just seem like decent general purpose switches that, like, my dad doesn't know the difference. He doesn't care. His keyboard's got reds in it, and it's perfectly fine. But he also doesn't sit there and type a lot either. So
My mom wanted a decent keyboard, so I bought her one of the 5. And I put 3 different sets of switches in it and 3 different sets of keycaps on it. So this set is 1 keycap and 1 switch. This set is a different keycap and the same switch type and everything. I don't feel any difference.
Yeah, the keyboard. Okay. It types.
well, I was okay with the reds for a while, but once I started programming again, they're really annoying. They're just slow, and at least I feel like they're slow. I just maybe it's just in my brain, but I really am starting not to like the reds. And because I have a keyboard that has switches that are swappable, I'm going to swap them. And those seem like a likely choice. Because $31 for a set doesn't sound like a bad thing. Set of 100. That's more keys than I need.
Yes. Right, most keyboards like 102 keys or something.
104. It says quality one set, 110 switches, so they even give you more than you need. $0.30, that's not bad. I'll just not get a microcontroller for one week. I'll just order switches. Yeah. So I've been finding like used, at least they say they're used, on eBay for very, very cheap, and a lot of them have like a buy it now kind of deal or a best offer kind of deal, and I will just offer them something even more ridiculous, and a lot of them will say, sure. I've been buying pre-owned microcontrollers and immediately wiping out whatever program's on them. Howdy.
Hello.
Hey, Mike,
What's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot. I am scheduled for carotid artery surgery at 6:15 on Monday morning.
Well, hopefully all goes well with that.
Well, nothing I can control, so it's up to other people.
Well, you could be a good patient and just lay there.
I'm sorry, say again?
You could be a good patient and just lay there.
I don't think I'll have a lot of choice. Last time they did that, I was asleep, and it's like, okay, let's see when I wake up.
Right?
this is this coming Monday,
Yes,
and that'll be at the VA or where?
yes. The chief of vascular surgery up there is the woman who did the surgery on my left carotid artery after I had a stroke about 3 years ago. And we have a great deal of confidence in her, and she's just really a nice individual as well as being a skilled surgeon.
It's always good to like your doctor.
Yeah.
Yes, that's always bonus.
You want to take this and use it, you're more than welcome to.
Well, we're not going to be able to see each other for
A month or so.
a month or so.
Yeah, that's fine. I am not
You're
running out of
You're not
keyboards.
running out of keyboards. I'll borrow it. I will play.
That one has a case.
Oh. Steve's serious about his keyboards.
I am. I'm more so than I should be, but stuff happens.
Yeah, stuff definitely.
You're gonna try different switches. Let me know. I got those. I've got probably 800 odd switches now.
All right, you keep that. I'll just unplug mine and
Okay.
plug it over there. That way I'm not having to dig through USB ports and stuff. If that makes sense.
Yep. I bought like 8 or 10 of these things in a variety of colors, and they worked out okay.
This one might accidentally end up in the case.
That one I'm keeping my eyes.
5-pound keyboard.
Is that anodized aluminum?
Yes. With backlighting.
Wow, very handsome.
It was surprisingly cheap stock, and then I altered it with that
I
was
expected no less.
$78 on Woot.
A nice keyboard.
There's one thing about it that kind of is curious to me. It comes with a little toolkit that has the world's cheapest Phillips screwdriver and an Allen. I don't understand why they have Allen head bolts holding the case together and then Phillips screws holding the board to the case. They should have just gone the extra 3 cents and put all Allen bolts in it.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, I've got a bunch of M5 stack stuff.
Mhm.
They use Allen screws in everything. I took apart something the other day and I could not get it to go back together. Could not get it to go back together. So I laid all the screws out. Turns out they used different length screws.
Mhm.
And I am sitting there going, I mean, it's a case. You've seen these things, right? Why would you use two different size screws on the external case?
So that was an issue with motorcycles, used to be. You could order a screw set for a Yamaha VR, whatever. And it had all of the right size screws in Allen heads. You could even get them in metric head or English head.
Right?
But they were all different lengths. And they weren't all the exact same length as what came out. So what you do is you take out all of the screws initially, and then put a screw in each screw hole. And if any of them were flush, that meant the thread wasn't engaged at all. So you took that out and you found a tall one and you swapped those two until you got back to where they all stuck up about half an inch.
Just enough to torque them down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was like, this is nuts. Why would they do this? And then I took apart something else that was not related. It was another M5 stack product, but it wasn't the same one or the same thing. It was a different one. And there were two different size screws in it. And I'm sitting there going, that is just the stupidest thing.
That might be the way they identify whether or not somebody took it apart or not.
But they want you to take them apart.
Okay.
Do they?
Yeah, you to add stuff to them, you almost have to take them apart. But it was the older stuff, I don't seem to recall the screws being different lengths. The newer stuff, the screws are different lengths. And a couple of them are like most of the stuff I think are M3s, but a couple of them are like M2s. And I'm sitting there going, that's just bizarre. And they don't give you the right tool for the M2s because the M2s are much smaller.
That was one of the things I got from an engineering class. If you're making a thing, instead of having 4 different sizes of screws, it's cheaper in the long run
To make
to
them all the
use
same.
more smaller screws than
Mhm.
a mix.
Well, I mean, I remember when we had the computer shop, that was a big issue with like laptops.
Yeah, still is.
Laptops. Every screw was different, so you had to lay them out as you took them out.
Which is one of the nice things about the iFixit tool sets. You turn the lid over and it's divided into little squares so you can drop your screws in and know where they came from.
I just sat there and went, I haven't dealt with different length screws in a long, long time. Thank you, M5 Stack, for bringing back memories.
Mhm.
You could always throw in a couple of left-hand screws.
Yeah, Well, that's a different story. We bought Patty an exercise bike. That a small one, just an under the desk bike. And one of the pedals, of course, was correct, and one of the pedals was exactly backwards, and it wasn't the one that you would want it to be backwards.
What?
The,
Pedal was backwards?
the screw pattern
Oh,
was backwards, but it wasn't the one that you would want it. So eventually, as she's pedaling, this screw will loosen, or this pedal will loosen up and fall out.
really?
Yes, because it's
The wrong
backwards.
way.
Because it's exactly backwards from what it should be. At least I think it is. I'm sitting there. So I was reading the reviews on this, and overall the reviews were decent. That's why we bought it. But 2 or 3 people had said that the pedals fell off, and I'm like, well, they just didn't put them on right? I mean, there's only, if you don't tighten them or whatever, sure. But after we got it and I'm putting it together, I'm like, God, I think this pedal is backwards. I think it will fall off eventually after you go so far or whatever. I think, yes, it will loosen up.
Super glue.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, knowing what the problem is, we're just going to check it every, once in a while, make sure it's still tight. Or tighten it back up as needed. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal. We know, at least I think we know what the issue is.
So the left pedal is the one that should be left-hand thread. And if it isn't, is it possible that the crank arms are on the wrong sides?
Well, that's possible too.
Thinking they will precess within the socket if you have them on the wrong side.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Well, this has a, they're attached to a flywheel. It's an under the desk thing. And honestly, I thought that maybe they had marked the pedals incorrectly, like the left was on the right, but and vice versa. But I honestly think they gave me 2 left pedals. Is what I think they did. And just mark one of them as being the right side pedal. Because it's the right side that I think is going to fall off. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen soon. I think that would be after a few months of use, but
Well, it's not like you're out on the highway.
exactly. And I mean, she's sitting on the couch pedaling. It's not like the worst is going to happen is maybe the flywheel will come back and bang her in the shin or something. But like I said, I'm not real sure. The reviews for this thing were generally pretty good, but then they weren't. I mean, howdy.
Hey,
It's okay.
it's okay. Hey, Mike. So what's going on? Just start with this one.
We're goofing off like normal.
I bring my emulators.
Did you bring your toys?
It's an Arduino Mega chip. This is the same design, but the same simulator or emulator, but with the Arduino Uno chip. Like a replica of the old Pinback one, 1971, the first personal computer
With a real-time clock.
and a real-time clock. But this is an add-on to make it do something. Because it's a serial CPU, serial machine. The memory is 256 bytes, and they are in two dynamic serial registers, rotating all the time. And this program counter just try to match the counter that is feeding the chip register,
Okay.
to synchronize the memory address with that counter outside of the chip register. So this machine, I made a proof replica with 150 TTL chips. I will bring it to the club, but it's only the motherboard. I need to make a box and an enclosure. But the machine has approximately 1,000 instructions per second. It's very slow. 1 millisecond per instruction.
Gentlemen, I'll
And,
see.
one guy from New Zealand, several
Good
years
luck.
ago, maybe 14 years ago, he made a simulator for the Arduino for the 80 mega 386. This the chip of the Arduino.
Right.
But he designed was with shift registers. He used an output serial register to show these 8 LEDs, data LEDs, and use 2 8-bits shift register to clock in his 15 keys, because the Arduino doesn't have the I/O for that.
Okay.
So I made a modification for the program to use the Mega and remove all the shift registers. So I assigned 1 pin for each LED and 1 pin for each push button. I also, in this case, I made a matrix to read all the keys and refresh all the LEDs with only 4 resistors. Nice. It's a scanning, it's a multiplexing, and both operate exactly the same, with the same timing and everything, because the interruption that do the scanning use 0.3% of the time of the machine, so you don't see any running anywhere, because they have this.
And we got him on GitHub. Finally,
Are in GitHub, open hardware.
he's using GitHub
For the programs
for years.
They were files for the boards.
Nice.
My first project on GitHub. I learning to put images.
Yeah.
I love the pictures and drawings. So this is an adapter we were talking last week for the USB-C that I love you. Hey. Okay.
I've ordered
So
two of these.
the
Yeah.
software,
They're on my.
do a check in the startup, check all the LEDs, and then stop. But this firmware has the emulator, and the guy that designed it put 8 programs preloaded that you can load. Okay. He also What happened?
I don't know.
Okay,
I went too far. Something.
July.
Too much light, you know. And I wish the software would work.
So.
See?
Things off.
Yeah, so I don't think you can control them anymore.
There's been something, but
Yeah, it turned off the little ones.
Yeah,
There.
I don't think we can turn them on and off anymore.
But you can see the LED turn on. It has a routine at the start that check all the LEDs.
Whee!
Okay. And it has several programs pre-loaded that you can load just pressing stop plus one of the 8 data switches. The first one is a counter. This is loaded with the counter. You can run. You see, it's a counter,
Neat.
but it is too fast. So you can stop, and you can change the speed of the count of the program. Oh, no current. So you can change the speed. It's a counter at lower speed.
this thing seems to be really sensitive to current use. You want to give it a try?
Yes. So that under 50 milliamps, these things turns off. So. Okay,
The LEDs in person are nice and bright. They don't really look it on the camera, but
yeah. The machine itself is very boring. You can use it to learn assembly programming. It's basic, but it's nice for to learn. But the guy that designed the simulator, he added a real-time clock. It's here. It's a I2C device, and you can keep real time on it. So he made also programs to show the time. One of the program is a BCD clock. This program, and it shows in BCD the hour. This is okay. Here you have the 4 lower bits are the hour 6, and when this bit is blinking, you see the minutes. Now is this is the hour 6, and when the minutes appear will be
4.
4, 6.
Seems
4.
right.
It's not supposed.
It's pretty close, yeah. Must be a decent time clock.
So you can stop here. You can load the Cylon program also. This one. Stop. Second, I think second one. Start. But it's too fast.
That's fast.
Stop. You can change the speed pressing one of the 8 buttons plus stop. Start again.
Oh,
See now
yeah.
you can change the speed. You can make this slower. Stop. Use the last bit plus this one. Start. This is a very slow speed. This shield is working with this program is scanning, as I said, the LEDs and the buttons, okay? But the Arduino Mega, you have plenty of pins to use it. So it use each pin for each LED and each switch button. Same, I can call the hour stop plus this is the program, DCD the timer, DCD the clock 6, and now it's 6 p.m. 6 minutes. So, more or less. Stop. Clear. You can input anything you want. Here. Here. You can set the address. You put here the address. Now it's 0. You press set. And now you are pointing to the address 0, and you can put whatever you want. This is F0, next hexadecimal store here. Now you are in the next address, the one, you can press this and press again store here. Now you can go to the 0 address, pressing set, and you can read the contents. This is the 0 address. Next will be the 1, the 01 address. And in this way you program the computer.
Very cool.
It's interesting.
How long did it take to lay out the?
55 years old. No.
How long did it take to lay out the board?
Excuse me?
How long did it take to lay out the board, and what did you use?
Layout, what do you mean?
Didn't you draw up the board on
Yeah,
this?
yeah. To design it,
Mhm.
several hours. One after.
Nice. You use
I have
KiCad?
some practice working with the KiCad software. You know, you can search in the web for the format for the Arduino shield. So I load the shield. I change the cutting edge to make the board as I want, bigger than the Arduino itself, to make the shape of the original computer. And in this thing, I tried for first time using the mask, the white lines, to create an inverse image, you know. So the board is blue and the mask is white. So I fill with white everything except the letters on the design.
Yeah.
To have the original computer was what the front panel was white and the box, the enclosure was blue. So this is more close to the original.
Nice. Looks good.
I put the logo of Open Hardware. I have a lot of designs, but maybe I'll begin to putting them in GitHub with all the part list, schematics, the board getters. So anyone can reproduce this thing. It has a program to, it's a show specs. It's one. Yeah, this is the a blinking show.
Oh, cool.
But there is a problem. You don't have control of these LEDs in your program, in the original machine. This is a
Just an Arduino thing.
it's as the blood type clock that doesn't exist. But this is nice to again or something. So I made something like this in the ruler. You remember?
Yeah.
But I add the assembler, the disassembler, the serial commands, a lot of commands. This is my last 3-4 weeks of work.
I like it. Now that's a lot cleaner than that kit that I bought.
I don't what?
Cleaner. It's a much cleaner design than that kit. Uh,
More cleaner than the original one. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, because the original one has one resistor for each LED, and because they are using shift registers,
Yeah.
they don't have the pull up to set the value or the push button. So each push button also has a resistor. So you have 14 resistors plus 12 resistors plus 3 shift registers plus the Arduino itself. So you have a lot of soldering work. This is much simpler. So,
I like it.
A related thing that I'm seriously considering getting is a IDP 11 or 10.
okay, from
Obsolescence.
yeah,
Dev.
yeah. I have plenty of I have all the kits
Really?
in boxes. Yeah. Oh, okay. Which one do you want?
The 11.
This is the last one. No, the last one is the 10, right? Is the
Yeah,
big,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
the
the
big
10.
one. You want the 10?
Yeah,
It's like 300 something.
yeah.
But now there are tariffs also
Oh,
from
Hmm.
England.
well, then maybe I gotta wait another 3 years.
But the guy said 2 weeks ago that he already sold 1,000 units. He already paid the more. That was the most expensive part of the kit. I will find time. I have the PDP Pi because we use the Raspberry Pi. I have the 8 and I have the 11.
You know, the one I think is just the prettiest
The 11 also has a nice mold.
is the
This is
10.
the huge one.
Yeah.
I use the PDP 11 in my grade for learning assembly program.
Nice. When I started at the printing
Where it
company,
was moving switches.
when I started at the printing company I worked at, we had a PDP 8. And it had the neatest set of terminals I've ever seen on anything, sort of. From above, it was kind of odd. But it had one big color monitor on a turntable, and then 4 desks. And each one was an angled desk, so from above, this thing was a swastika.
What software?
They were using it to design PostScript files. And we were printing that stuff. We were doing forms for all sorts of different companies. Most of the Cincinnati Public School district forms we designed.
Forms.
We did forms for CG&E and for Cincinnati Bell. We did all the forms for Bell South. We had an entire division just for handling their stuff. But so each desk had a terminal. So there's 4 terminals that are just monochrome serial things, and then one big rotating monitor where you could actually see the
The
graph.
result, the final,
Yeah, and they would just turn that. They'd have 4 people sitting at that thing all the time.
this one was shared with the other stations.
Yep. The video card for that thing was 2 full-size cards, one of which was only memory,
Well, of course,
and one of which was about
the
half
memory
memory.
was the most expensive
Yep.
and the size also must be huge, size of the.
Well, the cards were 14 inches square, I think, 16 maybe. And when we got rid of that thing, I tore it apart and took just the rack with the big cast.
And what you do for the final uploader and
No. We had a laser print. We had a
laser.
1200 DPI laser
Okay,
printer
okay.
that printed on aluminum.
To create
And it printed directly on aluminum sheets. And those went on the press. Fun toys. My kids had their computer mounted in a PDP-8 case for years.
Closest I ever, I mean. I came in like with the Apple IIs,
Me too.
so. I never really got to experience this stuff, but. The fire control computer on the submarine was,
Computer was a failure in terms of
Yeah.
business, you know.
Yeah,
The guy only sold
most of them were.
40 of them or so.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh,
But was he made an ad in American, what's the magazine?
Scientific American.
Scientific American. He put an ad in February 1971 selling the computer. So it was the first personal computer in
Nice.
the market. And there were a meeting in Massachusetts or somewhere in a museum, trying to decide which one was the first personal computer.
well,
There were Wozniak, Steve Wozniak also, Steve voted for this
yeah,
computer.
Yeah.
Because the Apple was there also, was the first.
the closest I ever came to. Something like that was the fire control computer on the submarine. It. Basically a bunch of lights and you flip switches and you hit a button and it would reset all the switches and you go through and toggle switches again and hit a button and it's like, okay.
So you are more specific, is the first personal computer, but you establish that the first personal computer must have a monitor or a keyboard. Because it has nothing to do there, you know. So
That the fire control computer had a terminal. But somebody would have to go through and line up all the switches
Yeah.
to activate the terminal, and then you can type in your fire
Yeah.
control
Well,
solution.
That was the bootloader.
Yeah,
You were the bootloader.
You were the
the
bootloader.
Altair also was switches and lights.
Yeah.
Well, They had there was a big switch, an IPL switch.
Okay.
It was, if there was a problem, you hit the IPL switch. So that was basically a power cutoff switch. It would just erase everything and start over. You just. Well, we did something wrong. hit the IPO. Kill the power.
First computer I had, well, I didn't have it, my dad did. Was a North Star General. It was just a walnut box.
Just the name sounds vintage.
It would have fit in a 19-inch rack. It would have been 4U high. It had dual 5 1/4-inch floppies. Dad got it used, but he knew the guy that soldered it together.
20 amp fuse.
Yeah. Yeah, it had a linear power supply. It was a 60, no, it was a Z80 processor. And we had the thing for 3 months before we got a terminal hooked up to it. And that was a DeckWriter 3. So it was a printer with a keyboard.
Yeah.
And every time you type something, bump. No, it was dot matrix.
Oh, it was dot matrix.
It hummed.
Okay.
And later on, we interfaced it to an old teletype.
Yeah. Well, that's my
Never did get a monitor.
my across the street neighbor when I was just before maybe junior high school. He had a VIC-20. And he had a teletype machine hooked up to that, and that was the coolest thing I ever saw was.
Yeah.
And
You've got the rewinder, I think. That
What
clockwork rewinder. I think you took that
from the,
to the paper tape.
for the paper, yeah.
no, but I used cards.
No, I brought in a paper tape.
Yeah, I have it.
And I think you've got,
Yeah. You want it?
No.
It's in the basement,
no,
in a nice place, beautiful, heavy.
I have enough heavy stuff.
He had a paper tape reader on that. And he didn't have a disk drive, or he didn't have a tape drive, he didn't have none of that. He would save his program to paper tape.
Yep.
And
I
reload the
have
program. to
an
paper.
Alien computer, like a terminal. Nado was made for like as a terminal. You die to a network, you connect your computer and download games and applications.
Yeah.
Was Canadian. I will share the info about that. I have the one guy just sold 100 of them in brand new in boxes for $70.
Oh,
So I saw the thing, just the keyboard cost more than the $70. But you now can buy them in eBay for 250 or something.
ooh, I
It's-
sold it.
It's heavy, it's a C80. A huge box, brown box, and the keyboard is another brown box with a keys and
nice.
metal case, everything. This is another box in my basement. I want to get free.
More stuff.
When that printing company I worked at, they hired me to run serial cabling for terminals. And when they switched over to everybody getting a PC, we were reusing serial cables as network cables, but we started out, people had
Problems with
TerraTerm installed on Windows 3.1 with a serial connection back to the server. And then we finally upgraded to TCP/IP. But I got a lot of those terminals. They were, they started with an S, and we had green ones and amber ones. And they're like, well, get rid of those things. We'll never need them again. Okay. So I stored them in at the company. I had a storeroom, and I had 200 of those things. And I was selling them to pizza places.
Yeah.
Because they still had serial terminals.
Yep.
You still have anyone? Oops.
I've got 2 serial terminals left.
I want one of those. I can exchange with Commodore, wow. This is
I went
a weapon,
to,
huh?
I went to an
It's not a
auction.
weapon you fight with someone.
Yeah.
Wow. Why? It has something inside to
Just
weight.
cast aluminum case.
Wow, but this size in aluminum doesn't weigh so
It's
much.
just
You have
aluminum.
something inside. You know,
Nope. It's good. Well, it's got a,
mercury or something.
it's got a steel plate for the
Okay.
key switches.
Wow, wow.
I
Just feel those keys.
I went to an auction, Metro Housing in
That's
Hamilton
really nice.
years ago. And they could not give those terminals away.
Yeah.
Could not give them away. And the auctioneer finally said, I will give you 50 cents to take them. And I said, okay, give me 50 cents. And he handed me 50 cents. I ended up selling those things for a small fortune. I knew what they were. I just wasn't going to pay for them. Pizza places,
Has brand,
AutoZone, all kinds of places were using
brand,
those.
other seal, something.
It's a Keychron Q3 with mechanical keyboard, MK Holy Llama switches. And the keycaps are
The shipping must be very expensive.
no.
But by weight.
So the keyboard stock with keycaps and switches in it, but ones I didn't like as much, was $78.
Wow.
And the shipping brought it up to like 83. So yeah, I saw it on Loop. But right now the backlights that are in there are pretty muted.
Right. Your keycaps won't show through them either, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's fairly dim. By the way,
I don't know. I always insert in the wrong way.
we know if they're on. Oh, that's on because you're
I guess there is light in the bottom.
just faint blue. I like blue.
It must just barely be on because I can't see it from here.
Well, you can only see it around the edges of the keys, and the back plate in that thing's black. So that doesn't help it any. I had considered, I've got a set of these MT3s that are putting keycaps, and they don't look. They just
When I type,
Is this any MX color standard or something? What kind of switch? What color?
they're a tactile switch, but they're called MK Holy Llamas.
Is a new one? It's not the standard red,
It would
brown,
be brown.
brown.
Yeah, they're tactile, but the bump sits higher than most tactile switches. This is a heavier switch. I was considering putting one in the space bar. Those are 55 grams. That one's 65. It's a little harder to press, but it's close to those.
uh-oh, meeting presenter disappeared. What happened?
Oh, I did it again.
I have no idea what's going on with whatever.
Yeah, now it's back to using the one on your computer,
It is.
and the LED is off on your camera. Did you unplug something?
No,
Are you sure?
no,
It's back again.
yeah,
What about this one?
Oh, now it's back on.
well, yeah, I turned it back on. I don't know why it turned off. That one,
Does it overheat?
has more of a clicky keys.
Those
I'm
are
going to take that home and play with it and see if I like that better for typing.
those are Kale Speed Browns. or no, LSP golds.
Gold, looks like vintage, the design, you know, the colors.
Yeah, that's a Rome colored map. I like it. And they're taller keys. These are both escape for this set. This is stock. That's this set of keycaps. I really like tall keycaps.
I think that one's going to be really nice to type on. But I'm going to give it a shot before I commit to buying stuff.
I have other switches if you want to try them. So this one, this is the cheapest keyboard I've got.
Yeah.
That was $38, I think.
It's like
With the case?
No,
it was like 35.
okay.
Yeah, they work. They're not expensive keyboards. They're nice. They're nice enough.
And as far as I know, the circuit board in that and are the same board. I got two of those, one to leave at work and one to play with. So it gets extra keys and stuff.
I bought the Micro Center brand mechanical keyboard.
Mhm.
Really hated it. Really didn't like it, and bought this and liked it.
Wow.
That's enough to kill somebody.
That was 78.
That's the keyboard that wouldn't break like it does and wanted.
Yeah.
Ever seen that movie? Like, he gets fed up with the boss and he takes the keyboard and he
Well, I'm seeing the
and he's yeah. And when he leaves the office, he becomes an assassin. They end up tricking him to kill his father or something.
Yeah, I remember that with Angelina Jolie.
Yep.
Let's try this one. I tried to adjust the resistors to have the same intensity in the devices.
I like that you're mimicking the original look of the machine.
Maybe I do the same for this. Maybe this black.
Should build a
Just to make some difference.
replica of the Apollo 11 dashboard.
What did they end up using?
What I make instead of using this legs, you can use a 3D printed case.
I think it's got 8 7-segment displays and about 30 switches.
On the Apollo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Memory was rope memory.
Yeah. I knew memory was much different. It's different. No.
We found the original front of the original machine.
Okay. I like the you're mimicking what it looked like.
Yeah.
In tiny form. It's tiny.
And I was looking for the buttons to be 100 grams of pressure to make it easy to press, you know. So I try to press this. This is very soft buttons because usually they are 250. But I found one brand for the white and another brand for the black. Because this is Omron. Omron has codify the pressure in the color of the button. So you cannot have different colors because they will have different pressure. So this is Onron, and this is another brand that has the same grams of pressure.
Cool.
So I made a little
Huh.
investigating how to.
But button people and keyboard people, there must be some crossover somewhere.
Well, usually the buttons are hard to press, you know. Oh, this is easy.
Yeah, I like this one. It feels like you could actually put a program into this and do something instead of sitting there. Huh?
And the other one, after a while, you think the
And you push
bottom
it
in
with your
your
fingers.
that's enough.
What's it?
For the ruler, the buttons are surface mount. Those I ordered custom to the manufacturer. They don't have the 100 grams, so they asked me to buy 2,000 of each. Okay, how much will be? It's 120. Okay, so they made me custom blacks and white buttons, surface mount. So now I have 2,000 of them for each. Well, and this real-time clock, you can buy 5 of them for $9 in Amazon. It comes with the battery already stored, supposedly 10 years of life.
Yeah, the battery's soldered in, isn't it?
Huh?
The battery's soldered in, that isn't it?
It's already. But you lose you try to find the battery to replace, it costs more than the model itself. You can buy the battery in AliExpress, and it costs more than the model in Amazon.
Dun dun dun.
I bought everything in the next in Amazon, the standard Amazon. The screws in AliExpress, but Amazon also has everything. Well, AliExpress has everything, but maybe a quarter of the difference.
Yeah. Problem with AliExpress right now is there's tariffs now.
Is there?
Well, if you go to AliExpress and
You want to make anything of it? I have boards and parts. You want it?
Cool.
I can bring a key. Yes, time.
okay. Yeah, if you go to checkout, if you put anything in your cart and go to checkout, there's a section now that says what the tariff is. They charge it right then, and so you're not hit with a fee at the end of the thing. But I tried to buy something the other day, and I was like, I'll just wait for Mauser to house it because Mauser is still only charging 10%, not 50%.
Yeah. It's real interesting. I watched a thing on Amazon the other day, and they were talking about Amazon has a monopoly on everybody's prices. And yeah, as a seller, if you sell cheaper anywhere else on the internet, Amazon finds out to take away your buy button. So you can't sell on there anymore until you fix your price. So, and they were interviewing this guy that has a toy company in Utah. They said, so Amazon is the most expensive platform to sell anything on, and they keep raising their prices. So they had just fired an email off or whatever that they were raising their fulfillment thing another 5%. So he's going to have to raise his price. But before he can raise his price on Amazon, he has to raise his price on his own site He has to raise the price with Walmart. He has to raise the price with Target. He has to raise the price. Yeah, so he can modify the price on Amazon. Because if he does it first on Amazon, they'll delist him. Well, 90% of his sales are on Amazon because he's a toy company.
Some stuff from Home Depot or Lowe's, you check in Amazon, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Usually. Cheaper and they give
Well,
delivery.
I actually bought a book, believe it or not, I bought a book from Amazon.
Wow. That was
Amazing.
the original idea, right? Buy books from them.
But the book was actually being sold by Half Price Books on Half Price Books website. It was more expensive than buying it from Amazon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
That's
like,
that's why.
the deal. Yeah.
So,
like-
and that's what he was saying too, is like, so they make these little like Lego knockoff things with the disc in their brain, something or other. I forget what the brain teas or whatever they're called. $17. They get 7 of it. Amazon takes 10. And he said out of that $7, they have to pay for their rent, their electric, the utilities, the employees, their insurance, and their insurance with Amazon.
when
And
I
their profit.
I mean, it was years ago that I sold stuff on Amazon. I did all right.
Yeah.
It wasn't fantastic,
great.
but I definitely made more money selling stuff on eBay.
Yeah.
But DVDs and that kind of stuff would sell really quick on Amazon, where I would sit on them forever
Oh,
on eBay.
yeah.
And
Well, that's the thing too. Now, if you don't have a certain level of supply, they charge you fines.
yeah, well,
So you
see,
can't one-off stuff nowadays, and you can't have a limited inventory.
I was just me.
Right. No, I understand.
And
But like I
but
said, they cracked
the-
down on that like 2 years ago.
the thing about Amazon was you would sell it, they would put money in escrow or whatever until it
Clear.
arrived. They would charge the seller, I don't know, 5%, 10%. They would charge the buyer 5%, 10%. So they were getting money from both sides. But if you didn't have money to actually ship the item, you couldn't get money from them until the item shipped.
Yeah.
And they fully expected you to ship the item before you actually got paid. So, I mean,
Right.
again, it was no big deal, but it was like,
This is also to keep the money
yeah,
on
Yeah.
cash on their side.
On their side.
Yeah.
yeah, they kept
Flow cash.
they took their fees right out from whatever. They said, you know, you're selling DVDs, so it's going to cost $3 to ship, or $3.75 or whatever. It didn't matter where it was being shipped to; it was going to be $3.75.
Yeah.
And that's what they charged. So that's what you would end up getting a credit for, which
You do the
it always costs more.
you do the shipping, or you send all the stuff then.
No, I was doing the ship. I was shipping.
Then you send the cost will be.
Well, if I would have sent the stuff to them and had them inventory it, it was going to cost like 15 or 20%. And I mean, I was only selling these DVDs for $4 or $5 anyway. They were already charging a lot of money for
Yeah.
it. But they gave you, so you would get an itemized breakdown. You know, you sold this for $4. We're taking our
$3.75.
whatever. We're giving you a $3 credit, even though we charged everybody $3.75, and you're still paying money on the $3 credit that they give you because
We're taking fees.
they're taking a fee out.
That's kind of.
And then you're still sitting there going, but it cost me $4.25 to ship it. Even media mail, it was like $4.25. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
That's one of the things the guy was complaining about too, because it's like out of the $7 he gets out of the 17, he has to pay for insurance on the product in Amazon's warehouse.
Mhm.
So if something happens in their warehouse, this stuff's covered.
Well,
And it's
I
like-
was doing it all. I wasn't using their warehouses at all.
Yeah, well, and that's what he said, the fulfillment price was like $7 of it, of the 10 they take,
Yeah,
but
well, that's one reason why I mean, I was a small seller to start with.
yeah, but that's the thing too, they're doing bulk like 100,000s of them.
Yeah, well,
But-
if you're a large seller, it makes a little more sense, but
Yeah,
a small person can't really compete. I would get a daily list every day that would say what items we're selling for on average. And so you could go in and you could adjust your prices, you know, and that only really made sense if you picked the item up for a reasonable price in the first place.
Mhm.
But if I put it a penny cheaper than somebody else, they would come back the next day and put it a penny cheaper than me.
That's
And
what
you're always, and then you're down to 3 cents. I'm charging 3 cents for this. I'm not going to make jack. I mean,
The magnetic cables I've got that have the little LED in the end of them.
it was the same with eBay at the
The
time.
magnetic cables I've got.
I always
They've got an LED.
said,
in.
if it's not worth $5, it's not worth listening because of
Turn right two.
anything
Just- just-
lower than
just-
$5, you're just
Yeah.
giving
Two of them.
eBay money.
Wow.
One of them.
Anything more than $5, probably we're going to be able to make a little.
Yeah, I.
It's just bonkers to me.
I made a decent living off of eBay. Not so much off of
I
Amazon.
just bought a couple of Arduinos with the USB-C. $6 each
But
from
if Amazon's
AliExpress.
trying to dominate the market by saying you can't sell somewhere else, that's just,
Well, you
It falls
can,
off of
it
something
just
that
can't be
doesn't
cheaper
destroy
than
it.
Amazon.
so that's.
And that's what I was,
the-
well, and that's, you know, and they were talking about that a little bit, and I was like, that's one of the contracts we had at work, they were paying us, we had like a crew of 25 guys going to like 15 different Walmart stores through
I
Florida
think this.
and like 5 Target stores to price everything in the entire store,
This is with
to
that,
price
right?
match against
Hmm?
what
This is that.
their online
power.
prices were, you know,
To charge.
so they could go after the vendors, you know, for selling in store for cheaper, you know.
But yeah, this one is USB 2 data, which is
That
plenty
just-
for
that-
99%
Yeah.
of everything.
Well, and that's they were interviewing a guy that makes bed frames or something like that, and he said, yeah, watch this. It's like we're, you know, say we gotta do a price change because something changed on our back end, we raised the price $35. And then 15 minutes later, the buy button's gone. Because they went higher than what other vendors were on the website, so
They
they
have
pulled
two of
them.
those, except they have
you
the
know.
keyboards.
And he said,
They
we're
just
the ones that
got
making
worth
it,
about
you know.
$400.
That would be the
Sure.
spot,
Yellow.
the time when I would just say,
The color, I mean.
We have.
do I actually make money on Amazon?
Yeah.
I would pull all my crap.
And they're
from
worth
it.
400.
Well, and that's what the toy company was like, they don't really have a choice because toy stores are gone for the most part. And he said, they've been trying to make a concerted effort for 3 years. They managed to lower their dependency on Amazon 10%.
On a.
So 90% of their sales are still
it's a
Amazon, you know.
Keyboard is.
But the connector,
Well,
the custom or something.
Like
So
in my case, most of my sales were from eBay, so
Yeah,
I could have
with
easily
a
just said,
standard
yeah.
handset.
get rid of
Yeah.
what's left in my DVD inventory and I'm done with Amazon, which is pretty much what I did.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing too,
Yes.
like if you gotta, I don't know what the minimum, maximum order size is now for
Plugs in.
the minimum amount of fees with Amazon, but like you can't just send in one unit of something.
Well,
You gotta have
right,
I have one.
hundreds or something.
well, like I said, I was doing it
Right.
all myself, so.
Well, but as I'm saying, you used to, a couple of years ago, being like, oh, I got 5 or 6 of these and
So I thought it was.
Every great once in a while, you'll still see a seller selling something
So you can.
that says fulfillment from Amazon, but they've only got one or two things in stock.
Yeah, but they're paying a fee for that
Yeah, oh,
now.
they're big time.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're paying a big fee.
there's a penalty fee now.
People from, you know.
It's ludicrous. And then the other thing that really irks me off is like some of the people I know that used to do stuff if you have somebody
My business.
like you sell backpacks with a branding on it and you start selling more than a couple hundred, Amazon comes out with that, finds your vendor in China, puts an Amazon stuff on it and undercuts you
Well, all the.
and stops your,
So, well, I actually had that happen
Big.
to me. I was selling something on eBay. Place up in Springboro was selling a guitar.
I like 20 of them.
Cheap.
You know.
It was
So
a
all my
practice guitar. It wasn't
manufacturing
anything
lines use those terminals.
fantastic. It came with a
With my
long amp.
motors feeding data from the.
$40,
Test
but you look
beds.
on eBay and they were
It
going
was automated, but with those. all
between
the
70 and
terminals.
100 and something.
Yeah.
I didn't even have them in. I would buy them.
All
The
the-
second I sold one, I would go up to this
all the
store,
scan,
buy
all
one,
the
slap a
box
label
was
on
made
it,
with
and ship it.
with,
The store found out what I was doing.
Cross.
And suddenly
lines.
my selling them for $110 went,
They were.
they're selling them for
And the-
$70.
was-
Yeah.
I can't compete with that.
Some kind of resentment.
But for a while, it was a really good deal. I didn't tell them what I was doing. I think they just
I just think that's
they
nice.
they
why
saw
you
me
kept buying so many of
they
them.
saw me buying like hundreds of them
I
at a
want to
time.
have it, yeah.
Maybe
I don't think I think I probably sold 100 of them.
Yours looks like one,
But
Mhm.
yeah, that somebody there probably went,
It would be a week waiting for the.
That's why a lot of stuff's going up.
Yeah, it's got
Resellers,
9 pieces that
and
make
it's
it up.
inventory out everywhere.
It's about a day.
they
Now
they
get in-
they ended up inside the store. They ended up selling them for like raised the price to like $70 too.
Send us the one.
Fine, I knew eventually it was going to end. It was just I came across it. It was a heck of a deal, and they had a crap ton of them. So.
I wish I'd had the nerve to do what I do when I was working at Doyful, was thinking about buying stuff on AliExpress and then selling it on Amazon because of the, markup was absurd. You'd be able to buy 64 gig USB sticks for $1 and then they would sell them for 70 or 80 on Amazon.
Yeah,
You'd buy a
Wow.
couple hundred of those.
I mean, you could literally get away with it until they figure out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's all it was is 30 or 40 people, and that's what whittled the price down. 20 or 30 different people cutting each other off by nickels or here and there. But it would have been
Well,
good income
I mean,
for a while.
that's eventually what ran me off of eBay was I was getting stuff from auction.
Yeah.
Mostly 90% of my stuff came from auction, and people were just able to get the stuff a little bit cheaper.
Yeah. Well,
Eventually ran me out. So I think eBay's one of those sites that kind of takes turns though. Because it seems like smaller sellers they start to make a little bit again.
That's cool.
And I've considered going back, but it's kind of like, it's a pain in the butt. You gotta
Yeah.
pack stuff, you gotta ship stuff,
well,
you gotta have stuff,
well,
you gotta store stuff.
that's the thing that drives me bonkers too, is like when I bought those chips from AliExpress, they shipped from like Illinois. And now the price is like 4 times what they were when I ordered them last year, But all it is they're a scrapper here in America that's owned by a Chinese company posted on the Express,
When I still use
Well,
Linux,
selling
And
American
and
stock.
now that the tariffs have come around,
there's a
sellers over there are
Library.
stockpiling warehouses here so that
CACA
the tariffs will
It
be
does
at least cheaper,
video. in
not
HD.
necessarily gone,
can
but at
watch a
least
video on a
cheaper.
serial terminal.
Cause they still wanna sell their stuff.
Those two are lib8.
And America will buy their stuff.
Well, that's what they were saying about the Amazon, like 55% of the top vendors
There
are
are a couple of
all
ones
Chinese
for the Apple one.
because they're direct access to the
And if they're,
manufacturers and
and if they're storing their stuff at a Amazon warehouse, the tariffs are reasonable.
yeah.
Ish. Anyway, it's like 6:55. We are virtual forever this month. This was our only in-person meeting, so we will be virtual and all that fun stuff
Next 4 weeks.
the next 4 weeks. So I think I'm going to go ahead and shut down, Art.
Oh,
You got
Okay.
anything to add to our funness before I shut
no,
down?
I think we're done.
You think we're good? Okay.
Yep.
All right. I will hopefully see you next week.
Okay.
All right. Oh, I can't wait. Bye. We'll see you later.